Alright ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to be showing you exactly how I made £557 yesterday trading the Nasdaq, and it's all about the liquidity sweeps and reversals. So let's get into it. Okay, so the one thing I see traders get wrong all the time is that they're trying to trade the market open, which is the most volatile time for price. I always see people complain about big candles stopping them out and just getting on the wrong side of the trade, because what they don't realize is they're trying to trade the manipulation on market open, where price is trying to figure itself out and establish where it wants to go. This is where the sweep comes in and the liquidity reversals. It's funny how you see traders always going on about patience and waiting, but yet they're trying to capitalize on the market open. In my personal opinion, I think it's silly. If you can do it, then fair play to yourself, but you have to have such strict rules. But here in this system, we're patient and we're always waiting. We're setting up and marking our key levels and we're waiting for price to react before entering on a trade. So how does that look like on the chart? Okay, so here you can see in front of you, I've drawn off this visual representation. We're going to go over it in a second, but first I want to read this over here to the left and this here. So the green box equals Asia, which is this, and then the red is New York. And I'll just show you when I move down over here, you can see that the green box is Asia and this is New York. So one last box we need to pay attention to is the Brinks, and it's always before New York open. And there is a UK Brinks, but we won't get into that now. We focus on the New York Brinks. So the second thing we want to do is mark levels, wait for the sweep, don't gamble the open, and trade with confluence. Okay, so here you can see price is in a downtrend. Price comes up, forms a high of Asia, drops, and forms a low. So we mark these 2 points as our key points. Then we wait to see how London reacts. Here you can see London itself is acting as resistance around the midpoint of Asia, which London high fails to break the midpoint, and it does that twice, right? So at this point it's already setting up the intention for what we believe New York could look like. If it's failing to break out higher, it could now start and make its way to test the Asian low, better yet, sweep it. One thing the Nasdaq does all the time is sweep sessions. People that try to trade the market open will see this happen and price will just slump to the downside in one way before making a sharp reversal. This always happens, so this is exactly why we mark off the key levels, which is the Asian high and the Asian low, and we use this to see how price is going to react around. Anyway, you can see price comes down. The reason this happens, price comes down to load up on the bids, the buys, before it offers out and sells. And then here you can see price comes into that midpoint, once again of Asia, acts as resistance, comes down, tests a low, before ultimately sweeping out higher. That's it in a nutshell, guys. Now I'm sure you're all asking how would that look like in real time and demonstrated in price action, so let's get into it. Okay, so the reason why I'm in replay mode is because this is the exact trade that I took. So I had already established my bias and I was thinking, okay, I want price to move to the upside, but we have just came from a short-term downside move, so I'm expecting them to pick on the bids one more time, which would grant my my idea of them sweeping the session and then ultimately making the shift out. So you can see I've got my Asia high marked off, my Asia low, and then obviously the box itself has the midpoint, so we're going to be paying attention to this midpoint if they're going to come up to it, act as resistance and sell, or they're just going to go straight for it. I do know that it was at this point in London that they came down straight away, so it wasn't New York that made the reversal, but I know that London came down, swept this point of liquidity. Sorry, just listen to that clip a second ago. I said New York didn't make the reversal. New York did make the reversal, but it was London that initiated the sweep first. So we'll wait. We'll see. Price did come down to test yesterday's low, which is when establishing if price is going to be sweeping and where it's going to make a reversal from. You want to be paying attention to the moving averages. Like I'll show you here if I pull up the EMAs. It's more the longer term moving averages. Like for instance, price came down, New York reversal wasn't at the start of the session, but it was towards the end. They came down, swept the Asian session, the Brinks low, and then they came down to the 200 EMA and then reversed out. So you could have had a buy limit set there. Likewise, in this case, there's no EMA for them to come into, but we had yesterday's low liquidity being sat ready to be taken out, which if you looked across, they came down to that exact same point once, come into it twice. If they're going to attempt it one more time and they don't break out from that level itself after attempting it 3 times, remember, the market makers work in threes. If they're going to hit a zone 3 times and not follow through, then they're probably getting ready for the reversal. So yeah, I was expecting if they're going to come down one more time, test yesterday's low. And you know what, for the people who want to see what this indicator is really capable of, you'll see right now, it will give up me yesterday's low. I don't have the label turned on. Let me turn yesterday's. No, I do have the label turned on. Maybe I got to go to a lower time frame. Anyway, so that was yesterday's low, and that's yesterday's high. Moving on, because I don't want to get too sidetracked. Let's just turn all that off now. So we know that this is a point we want them to come back into if they're going to make the reversal. Sweep the low. I just get my levels back, and we'll play the chart. Boom. So London made the reversal. I remember at this time I was saying to myself, well, if they're going to be dropping prices from Asia high, and then London's going to continue with the narrative down in a downtrend, well, I know that New York will typically do the opposite to what London and Asia does. So here you can see the Brinks opened into New York and they made the reversal after sweeping the Asian session low, and they came back into it. Now we're just going to pay attention to how they react around the midpoint. Real quick, it was at this point in London where I was saying, well, if they're going to initiate the sweep already, then I really am expecting the reversal in New York to do the opposite of what they've been doing in the previous sessions. Because in Asia, they were building longs, and then in London, they were also building longs. So I was expecting them to make the reversal and fulfill profits that they made on the way down to realize a return on the way back up. Okay, before we continue, I just really want to touch upon something real quick. I just said about them building longs as prices are moving down, but you're probably thinking to yourself they're going short. Well, if you don't understand that, please join the Discord down below, or even comment and feel free to ask me any questions. I will answer everything, because the way this system works and the way we look at the charts is completely different to the way the normal retail trader looks at the chart. So head into the description and please join the Discord and feel free to ask me any questions, because I will answer them. Okay, so what would it look like with a stop loss and an entry? Well, let's say we had a buy limit at this point saying they were going to do the reversal. We wait for price. Boom, instantly snaps out of the zone. Also, if you were to pay attention to my previous video, what does this look like? W formation. So now what could the cycle suggest? Well, if they're going to form this W formation and they're accumulating within these ranges and pick up on the bids, going off track a little bit, but I want to show you guys something. They move out the zone, retrace, continue higher. What happens? Just going off track a bit here, but look. Look. Bam. They snap it to the upside. From this W formation, which we got clear confirmation from, they move out, come down, shift higher. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I want to say if you've watched it till now, then, thank you very much. It means a lot. Please join the Discord down below. It's linked. The indicators linked down below, and there will be a PDF explaining all this in more depth, explanation and detail with different examples. So please go read that, join the Discord, and ask me any questions that you guys, need. Anyway, take care, guys.